the submarine that vanished, then exploded. In 2017, an Argentine Navy vessel, the ARA San Juan, disappeared without a trace. For 15 days, families, the military, and even international forces searched desperately for any sign of life. And then confirmation, a mysterious underwater explosion. Was it sabotage, a cover-up, or a tragic accident waiting to happen? This is the full story of the ARA San Juan, its final mission, the secrets that surfaced, and the heartbreaking truth behind its fate. The ARA San Juan was a TR-1700 class diesel-electric attack submarine built in West Germany in the 1980s for the Argentine Navy. Measuring 66 meters long and weighing around 2,100 tons submerged, she was built for stealth and agility, capable of deep-sea missions and long underwater endurance. By South American naval standards, she was a crown jewel. Silent, powerful, and versatile. But as time passed, Argentina's navy fell into financial decline. Naval modernization budgets were slashed. Infrastructure aged and safety protocols were stretched thin. The San Juan underwent a major midlife refurbishment between 2008 and 2013. Over 500 structural components were replaced, including her 4 massive diesel engines and batteries. The overhaul took much longer than anticipated and ran millions over budget. By the time the San Juan returned to service, she was theoretically seaworthy, but cracks were already showing. In early November 2017, the ARA San Juan departed from Ushuaia on Argentina's southern tip. Her mission: to patrol the South Atlantic and monitor unauthorized fishing vessels, particularly those from the UK, which maintains a military presence on the Falkland Islands. The crew of 44 were experienced, dedicated, and proud. Among them was Eliana Krawczyk, the first female submarine officer in South America, a role model to many, known for her professionalism and love for the sea. They were expected to return to their base in Mar del Plata by November 19th. On November 13th, the submarine reported minor issues, a short circuit in the battery system caused by seawater entering the snorkel. It was said to be contained. A final message sent on November 15th confirmed they were continuing northward. Then, silence. After 24 hours without contact, the Argentine Navy declared a communication loss. What followed was one of the largest submarine search and rescue missions in recent history. More than a dozen countries, including the US, UK, Brazil, Russia, and even Chile, offered support. P-8 Poseidon aircraft scoured the waves. Ships equipped with sonar searched desperately for acoustic signals. At the naval base in Mar del Plata, families of the crew waited in agony. Every day, they crowded around television screens and military spokesmen hoping for news. Some clung to the idea the crew were alive in an air pocket trapped beneath the sea. For a while, false hope was fueled by misinterpreted sonar pings and possible emergency signals. But day after day passed, and no sign of the San Juan emerged. On November 23rd, 8 days after the disappearance, an organization not directly involved in the search provided a breakthrough. The Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty Organization, CTBTO, which monitors nuclear detonations using underwater hydroacoustic sensors, detected a powerful anomaly on November 15th, right around the time the San Juan lost contact. The data indicated an abnormal, short, violent, non-nuclear event, consistent with an implosion. This was devastating. Experts believe the submarine suffered a catastrophic hull failure, possibly caused by a fire or battery explosion, leading to a sudden collapse under pressure. At depths of 800 to 1,000 meters, the pressure can exceed 100 times the air pressure at sea level. The human body wouldn't have stood a chance. The implosion, according to analysts, would have taken less than a second. All 44 crew members were declared lost. For the families of the crew, it wasn't just a tragedy, it was a betrayal. Why hadn't the Navy acted sooner? Why wasn't the public informed about the CTBTO data earlier? Why was the San Juan sent on a mission despite known mechanical issues? Some family members alleged they were being misled. Others pointed to past complaints by crew members about battery malfunctions and poor maintenance. There were even darker accusations. Some suspected a cover-up. Rumors spread that the San Juan had been shadowing British vessels near the Falklands and was involved in intelligence operations. Others claimed sabotage or interference from foreign submarines. No hard evidence ever emerged, but the mistrust lingered. A classified internal Navy report later revealed the San Juan may have been operating beyond its recommended depth. When the implosion occurred in 2018, nearly a year after the explosion, the private U.S. company Ocean Infinity joined the effort. They specialized in deep-sea exploration using unmanned underwater vehicles. With cutting-edge sonar and imaging tools, they could scan large swaths of seabed faster than any government vessel. And on November 17, 2018, just 2 days after the one-year anniversary of the disaster, they found it. The wreckage of the ARA San Juan lay at a depth of 907 meters, roughly 500 kilometers off the coast. The images were harrowing. The submarine's hull was twisted and torn, mangled by the sheer force of implosion. Sections were scattered over hundreds of meters. The debris showed clear signs of structural collapse. The forward hull had been crushed. A section of the bow was almost unrecognizable. Experts said the implosion was so violent it likely occurred within 40 milliseconds. The crew would not have known what hit them. The location of the wreck matched precisely with the CTBTO's acoustic data. After a year of theories and guesswork, the truth lay in pieces at the bottom of the ocean. In the wake of the wreckage discovery, Argentina was forced to confront uncomfortable truths. A congressional commission was formed to investigate the disaster. Dozens of military officials, engineers, and politicians were summoned to testify. What emerged was a portrait of dysfunction, outdated equipment, poor communication, lax oversight. The report accused senior naval officers of grave negligence. It stated that the San Juan should never have gone to sea in its condition. The incident with the batteries on November 13th was more serious than initially admitted. The submarine had been operating with known defects, and the response to its disappearance had been disorganized and slow. 6 naval officers were eventually charged with dereliction of duty, including the former head of the submarine fleet. But for many families, it wasn't enough. They wanted higher accountability. Some demanded that former President Mauricio Macri be investigated for his administration's role in military underfunding and the handling of the crisis. Years later, some of these families continue to attend court hearings and press conferences, holding up photos of their loved ones, demanding justice. Each of the 44 crew members had a story. Lieutenant Eliana Krawczyk was more than a trailblazer. She was a daughter, a sister, a symbol of progress. She once said, "The sea is my home. The submarine is where I feel most alive." Her absence left a void in her family and in the military community. Cesar Aramayo, a machinist from Jujuy, loved motorcycles and soccer. He had 2 young daughters. They still wait by the window, hoping to see him come home. There was Enrique Castillo, a sonar technician who had only recently transferred to the San Juan. He was supposed to take vacation the following month. He never made it. Many of the sailors were in their 20s. Some were on their first missions. Others had spent years in the tight quarters of the sub, forming bonds that were closer than family. They were fathers, brothers, sons. They were from all corners of Argentina, north, south, inland, and coast. They believed in service, they believed in the mission, and they gave everything. Despite mounting evidence pointing to a mechanical failure, rumors and conspiracy theories have persisted. One theory suggested the San Juan was on a covert intelligence mission, tracking British naval activity around the Falkland Islands, a long-disputed territory between the UK and Argentina. If discovered, could it have been attacked? Others believed the explosion could have been caused by an onboard weapon, or that the US Navy may have mistaken the submarine for a hostile vessel. There were even claims of a second submarine in the area at the time, unconfirmed and speculative. Most naval experts, however, point to a tragic chain of events. Seawater entered through the snorkel, caused a battery fire, and that fire triggered an explosion or electrical malfunction, which led to a rapid descent. As pressure increased, the hull gave way. Still, the secrecy and slow flow of information in the early days helped fuel public suspicion. In an age of mistrust and media speculation, even an accident can begin to look like a conspiracy. The ARA San Juan became more than a lost submarine. It became a national wound. Every year on the anniversary of the disappearance, Argentina holds memorials. Bells ring 44 times. Names are read aloud. Flags are lowered. Statues and murals have been created across the country, some near ports, others in towns where the crew once lived. In 2020, a new naval initiative was named in honor of the San Juan's crew. The Navy has since promised better oversight, more funding, and stricter safety standards for its fleet. But rebuilding trust takes time. The families continue to advocate. Some formed organizations to support military transparency. Others pushed for legal reform to ensure similar tragedies are investigated independently and swiftly. For them, the mission didn't end when the submarine vanished. Their mission is to remember, to fight for truth, and to make sure this never happens again. The ocean is vast, beautiful, and unforgiving. For submariners, danger is always close. These vessels are marvels of engineering, but they operate in a world where pressure can crush steel and silence can mean the difference between life and death. Every voyage beneath the waves is a calculated risk. That's why diligence, maintenance, and complete transparency aren't just ideal, they're essential. When any of those fail, even slightly, consequences are often irreversible. The tragedy of the ARA San Juan isn't just about the loss of a submarine. It's about what happens when warnings go unheeded, when critical systems are patched instead of replaced, when politics, bureaucracy, and budgets take priority over human lives. It also shows us how fragile truth can be in the face of grief, and how silence, whether from the depths or from leadership, can wound just as deeply as any explosion. But there's something else too. The story of the San Juan reminds us of the bravery of those who serve below the surface, far from the public eye. Men and women who climb into these steel tubes, not knowing if they'll return, but doing so with pride and purpose. And it teaches us about those left behind. Families who never stopped asking questions, who refused to be silenced, and who carry the memory of their loved ones not as martyrs, but as heroes. We owe it to them and to every sailor who steps aboard a submarine to listen, to learn, and to do better. So the next time you hear about a lost vessel, remember, it's not just a machine. It's a crew, a community, a floating world that lived, served, and now speaks to us only through the echoes left behind. The ARA San Juan vanished, but the legacy of its crew, the pain of its loss, and the lessons it left behind continue to ripple across the surface of history. If you found this story important, please like, comment, and share. And tell us, do you think we know everything about what happened? Or is there still more to uncover? Thanks for watching, and remember, Beneath the waves, the truth is never far, if you're willing to dive deep enough.